Raff, thank you very much for joining me on the podcast, mate. I'm so excited to have you on. You are three key things as a headliner for me. The youngest Brit to run a marathon on every continent. You've also run 50 miles through Antarctica, and you run through 250 kilometers through the Sahara Desert when you were just 16. Welcome to the podcast, mate.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here. Happy to be here.
Um, where I wanted to start with you was what sort of character is forged at a young age to want to do those sorts of crazy things as a young man?
Well, I feel personally it all comes down to your motivations and why you're doing what you're doing. Um, Growing up, my dad himself, as I've watched him run marathon. I've watched him run marathons on every continent. I've watched him run marathons through the desert and the North Pole, row the Atlantic, and he all did that in support of my mum, who has MS, multiple sclerosis, and he started doing these events as a I he's going to watch this, but as a fat kebab loving guy, and he no one kind of saw him as that sort of character. They just saw him as a funny, jolly go getter. And my mum was diagnosed with MS, and a few years after, he decided he would run the London Marathon, and from there he was kind of like, "Oh, this feels good. This I can do this." And he went off to the North Pole and he did the North Pole and he got a piece in the local paper. I remember we had that framed up at home. And growing up watching that, I just thought, well, if he can do it, I can do it. This he get I could see the the praise that he gets, but it's not about the praise, but the how he feels about himself, and I could see all of that, and I just felt I want to feel that way. I want to feel like I can do things and I can feel uh, uh
What is that?
we were
Is
we
it strength?
that this is yeah, strength and character. I think both strength and character, because he he struggles during these events, as do I. But I've watched him. We went out to the desert when he first did the desert, the Marathon des Sables, and I'd watched him struggle, and when he saw us, he cried. Um, and I watched that struggle, but it turned into pride by the end of it because he'd gotten through that struggle and he completed it. Um, I'd initially decided to do this because I tried to run a 5K because we've been speaking about how fast a 5K time could be or whatever. And I'd gone off to run a 5K and I'd thrown up 3 times and it took me 40 minutes or so. And I was 15 at the time. And I just went up to my dad, just catch a conversation. I was like, I'd like to do the Marathon des Sables. And it was a sort of throwaway comment at the time. And then a couple of days later, he came back to me and he was like, I think if you did it, you would be the youngest British person to do it. And I was like, oh, we're serious. And he goes, yeah, of course. And he gets me signed up. And I'm thinking I'm going to do loads of training before this gets started. And we get there, and I haven't done any training, I haven't done anything, but I am out in the desert with my dad doing a 250-kilometer foot race. So I'm not going to go home without completing it. And also, for that event, I raised £20,000 for a charity called Overcoming a Mess, which is the one that has supported my mum the most. And it's just a number of factors really, just that come into power, and it's so many different things.
That just that just makes me laugh so much when you say that you haven't done any training for the Marathon des Sables because an event like that is the pinnacle of
Yeah,
any ultra running where if someone's done it for years at a time, that is their sort of gold standard or North Star. What
yeah.
what was it that first of all, why did you not train? And then what was it like going through that process when you were doing the race?
It's in my character to be quite lazy. So as much as I've done all of these things, I'm also quite a lazy individual. And I'd watched my dad not train for multiple events. And as a 16-year-old, I kind of want to get away with doing as little stuff as I can. Um, I did do little bits of training, but they weren't training because I was just running on the treadmill with weights on my back for 5 minutes, thinking that was the ultimate training. Which when I told my dad, he was like, that's not going to do anything. And then that was maybe just be like, oh, I don't want to do anything then. Um, we walked 2 marathons. We walked a marathon and then we tried to do another one the next day, but we didn't go halfway through and went home. We got the train home. And I think it's just sort of that mindset because when I got there and when we started, I remember on the first day, I was at the third checkpoint just before the end, and I was thinking, what have I got myself into? Like this is horrible. I really should have trained, but I haven't, and I'm here, and I've just got to get it done. And once I completed day one, I'd completed day one. I'd done day one. Why go back now? I've done the first one. And day two, we had a sandstorm, which actually made me go faster and made me better because I was like, whoa, I'm in a sandstorm. This is really cool. And then day three was a double marathon stage. It was a 86-kilometer stage. That was awful. All of these days were awful, but I had people around me when you're doing these events that would come and speak to you and connect with you, and you can have conversations and they can boost you and you can boost them. And it's all about the community, really. I had so many people helping me out. And every race I have people that I remember really helped me get through. And they went out of their way to do it as well because I think it helped get them through at the same time.
When you're in that nitty gritty, feet sinking in the sand, sweat drying on the back of your neck, being scalded by the sun, what are you thinking during those moments, and how are you getting yourself through each day as it comes?
I'd like to say I'd like to say pure determination, but it wasn't. I was complaining a lot of the time. This is horrible. But I was using those words as power to get through. I was saying this is horrible. I was saying, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm never doing anything like Sahara again. Because it distracts you at the end of the day. It distracts you from going forward. And I'm not going to quit. And I knew during the Marathon Des Sables, there wasn't a single time where I really thought I was going to quit. There wasn't a single moment. There was no doubt in my mind that like I couldn't do it. I felt like I could do it. Um, it actually rained for like 45 seconds at one point. And that's the only moment I really remember being like, oh, this is horrible. And then it started to rain. And this is like halfway through the long stage as well. And it was just like a little boost of energy, a little burst of, damn, we can do this. We've got this. And just seeing other people get through it as well, that was a major thing. There was a 17-year-old and an 18-year-old who did the Marathon Des Sables when I did it, and they're both English. And so I did a lot of it with them. The 18-year-old unfortunately didn't finish. He dropped off on day three. But the 17-year-old, he was a lot faster than me, and he was a real racer. But he waited for me at the last checkpoint so that we could cross the final finish line together, which was, as I say, it's all about the community.
Yeah, some of the best moments of humanity I've experienced are at marathon events or even
Yeah,
just like a local half marathon event. There's something about endurance. There's something just innately primal about pushing your body to the absolute limits that
yeah,
people have this sort of respect for.
absolutely, absolutely. I agree. It's almost it's almost like a different type of empathy. it's not empathy as we know it, but it's empathy in the way of I'm actually feeling the pain that you're feeling. Like we're both feeling this pain. So let's support each other and help each other get through.
And when you're in those dark moments and you are in severe pain, is there something that helps you, a thought or a motivation that helps you get through that moment? Because your body can only push you so far, and even positive thinking, as you said, can only push you so far. So when you're in those really dark holes, is there typically something that pulls you out of that?
I'd like to say there is, but realistically, it gets to the point where you've used everything. You're let's say you're in Antarctica and 40 miles into 50 miles, and I've used every single thought in my head that can keep me going. There's nothing more. There's nothing more I can use, and the only thing I can use is just by doing it. It's just doing it. It's just one foot in front of the other and keep going. Because it, I use so many different types of affirmations and motivations, but at the end of the day, it was just about one foot in front of the other and just pushing through and getting towards the end goal. Because once you've started, you have to finish. I haven't started anything that I haven't finished at the moment, and I think that's just pure motivation from not wanting to fail. I think the thought of failing, the thought of failure, that's one. The thought of failure. I wouldn't like to fail. I've seen my dad fail, and it's not been nice. He's not liked it, and it's just one of those things where it it's been like with the World Marathon Challenge. It's something that you've been thinking about for a while, and it's a massive event that's coming up. And if you turn up and you fail it, I can't even imagine. I don't know the feeling, but I know it's not nice.
Where do you think that comes from? Your fear of failure. That's clearly a massive driver for you.
Well, I've seen my dad fail. So with the Marathon Des Sables, I saw he's done it 3 times and he failed the second time when he did it with my older brother. My older brother completed it. He came home all kinds of depressed, and he kind of I could see and almost feel the pain that he was feeling from it, because you tell so many people you're going to do it. With the Marathon des Sables, I was on uni lad, and I told all my friends, and it was posted everywhere. I've made a massive thing about it, and I think I I've always been a bit of a perfectionist myself, and I think coming home and hearing people say, "Oh, you can even do that," it's like I could do that, I can do that, and I will do that, because it's me thinking in my head, you couldn't even do that, even if it's a massive thing. My friends will still, they still take the mic, and they're like, "Oh, you can even do that." Um, it's just about proving I can do that, and personally, I can do these challenges. I was never the best at football or sport, team sports and stuff. Um, so this is almost about proving that I can do something nuts, and I, I can show I'm a beast, pretty much.
Yeah, dude, I totally get that. Like I feel the
Yeah,
exact same because I've done endurance events before
yeah,
and there are moments where you do I have doubted, why I'm doing that race or why I decided to sign up to put my body through so much endurance. But
yeah,
there is definitely that part of me that wants to prove people wrong, that wants to like show the naysayers who said that it wasn't possible that actually it
yeah,
it was. Um,
yeah,
you're different. Your generation, they're on their phones. Um, they've they've kind of been taken over by technology and coined the snowflake generation and things like this. And
yeah,
you're
yeah,
clearly
yeah.
not that. So do you feel different to your peer group?
I'd say no, I don't, because at the same as even though I've done all these challenges and these events, at the end of the day, I'm just rap, and oftentimes I have um like I can't remember what the specific word is, but it's something to do with an identity crisis around like the fact that I've actually done these events, it's nuts to think about, because I don't see myself that way. I just see myself as a normal guy. I've got friends. I go on my phone plenty during the day. And I think it's not necessarily a balance, but I think it's just about finding a middle ground between going out and exploring the world and seeing the world and speaking to different people and making different connections, and kind of just having fun with your mates, and being who you are with your mates and stuff. And I find that it's really, really important to surround yourself with the right people. And I feel like I've done that as well. And I feel like I've got plenty of support from my friends and my family. And yeah,
Yeah, I really hear that idea of like being surrounded by the right people to push you and become who you are. Um, that's clearly been a massive part for you, particularly with your dad being an adventurer. Um, but
yeah,
also it was seemed like your family, they've also been through pain, and your
yeah.
dad, he's recovering ex-addict and alcoholic, and your mum
Hmm.
with her
Hmm.
MS. Was there a time
Hmm.
in your life where pain was something that you were sort of conditioned to in a way that maybe resulted you in sort of seeking these endurance activities whereby you're so incredibly amazing at doing these endurance events because you've experienced pain before in your life?
That's a very, very good question, and it's one I have actually thought about a lot, because I'm extremely grateful for the childhood that I've had. I've got a lovely family, and as you can see, like we do things together. Me and my dad, we've done multiple events together, and I'm very, very happy like to have such an amazing family. Um, it's it's almost it's not so much, it's not my pain. That's the thing. This is what this is. I I'm the youngest of four. I've got three older siblings. And as the years have gone by, things have gotten better, life's gotten better, and I've kind of got to experience the bliss end of it, the ultimate amazingness of what life is and what our family is and all of this. Um, and I think having that support from my parents and my brothers and my sister, uh, was a massive part of it. It wasn't so much my pain, but it was seeing what my dad had been through and what my mum had been through and how they've gotten out the other side. And with my mum, she did the last marathon of the World Marathon Challenge with me. She did the Miami Marathon with me, and her first half marathon was actually in Antarctica. Um, so she since that she's become much healthier, and a lot in the last couple of years, especially, she's really taken a massive step forward in her life. Even at age 50, I hope she's 50. She's taken a massive step forward and realize she wants to be in a really good position when she's 80, and she's doing amazingly well. And my dad's doing amazingly well. He loves his job, which is the adventuring stuff. Um, and he loves, yeah. And I think it's just that support and that love is what got me through, not the pain.
Do you know what it is that you want from life? You're clearly a go-getter and you've got all these great achievements. What is it that you're seeking? What's the life that you really want?
In theory, the life would be just to travel around for the rest of my life. Be able I'm already very well traveled, and I appreciate that, and I try not to take it for granted, because I've met so many amazing people. I've seen so many different cultures. I've made different friends. Um, and I just want to keep living the way I'm living. I'm happy. I want to be happy. I want to keep, you know, pushing myself in terms of what you can get out of life, because I think you have actually only got one life, and you need to make the most of looking after it. I say this, but I'm not the greatest athlete in the world. You know, I spend a lot of my time. Sometimes I'll sleep in until 1. And I play games and stuff. But the overall goal is to just be at peace and be happy and be able to keep meeting so many amazing people like I have. And I just, yeah,
There's so many people around your age who have a lot of pressure on them around them, like whether they're going to university and they get very consumed because I know I was at that
yeah,
time around, what grades you've got and how much that sort of defines your sense of self-worth when you're coming into the big world and out of education. But you've decided that you're not going to be going to uni and you've gone into being a
yeah.
close protection officer. Um, what do you think it is about you that has really defined your clear path in life as opposed to just doing what people have told you to do or trying to fit in with society?
That's another very, very good question. What do I think it is about me? I You can ask my friends. I've always been very weird. Like my siblings, my brother, my brothers, they were telling me how they're having a conversation about how they just don't understand how I work and how I function, because I don't even understand how I work and how I function. But I'd like to say the events have played a massive, massive part on how I am today and who I am today. Because I with the Marathon Des Sables, after that, I kind of felt like, well, that hasn't really given me anything. But I was 17 and I didn't really understood what it had given me yet. And then when traveling the world and doing a marathon, and constantly meeting all these people, that really made me understand what I had actually gained from doing these events. And that was sort of just enjoyment, like yeah, contentness with life and contentness with what's going on around me. Because I think I find I don't get quite as upset anymore about the little things. The big things still, yeah, yeah, but there's certain little things that I would just be like, it's not the end of the world. This is life. I can sleep. I can sleep anywhere. I can sleep. If you've taken me to rural Africa, I'll be able to sleep on the floor on the ground out there. But because I've had the the terror of sleeping in horrible places, like the desert. There was an open. It was just a bit of carpet with a stick in the middle of it, and all the wind was coming through and the sand was coming through, and we were stuck in this tent with 8 other people, all cramped together. And I think I through having experiences all across the world and like everywhere, I've realized there's much more to life than just work and money and internet and all of this. It's about just speaking to anyone and everyone you can. Pretty much, you can learn a lot from people. And I wouldn't say I have such a straight, clear path. I'd just say I'm happy with not anything, but I'm happy with just being here.
Love that. I really like that because there's so many people that focus on the next thing, the next step,
Yeah,
and they lose themselves in the doing that they forget about the being and
yeah.
their head's not where their feet are. Um, that's an amazing grounding for you to have. And with you looking forward at your life, are there challenges that you want to take on or are there things that are still on your mind as to what you want to get after?
I'd love to do the North Pole Marathon when I can, but that trip's slightly harder to get onto and do because it's ice. Um, I'd love to do that, but I it's the future's an open book. You know, there's events being popped up all the time, and there's different things that you can do, and you don't even have to follow a certain event. If I wanted to, I could walk Europe tomorrow. And that's I've always kind of got that in the back of my mind that I could go off to India and I could just decide to walk and keep walking. Um, yeah, that's just anything really.
There'll be people listening to this right now who are like, well, Raf, that's great. Like you got a great family and you've
Yeah,
been pushed from a young age to go and do these amazing things, but I don't even think that I can run a 5K and these achievements just seem so far out of my reach. What would
yeah.
you say to these people who are sort of stuck in this way of thinking?
I'd say like with no disrespect meant, but it's absolutely ridiculous. I think anyone truly anyone with the right mindset can complete a marathon, let alone an ultra marathon. If you wanted, if someone else was put in my position and told they were going into Antarctica and they're going to run 50 miles, I have no doubt in my mind that they would complete it, no matter who they are, unless they're like actually can't walk. Anyone that can walk, um, if they, well, even so, I've seen people with no legs complete these events. That's the thing. You can actually complete whatever you put your mind to, and it's as simple as that, really. I did bare minimal training for the World Marathon Challenge. Uh, that was 6 marathons in 6 days on 6 different continents. We had to get flights in between them, and I just still turned up and did it because that's what you can do. You can get away with just doing it if you've got an incentive and you've got a motivation. Just go put one foot in front of the other. The human body can get you a lot further than you think.
I'm really amazed by how grounded you are and also uh, this sense of understanding yourself. Um, and there's one question that I've got that I really want to ask you, which is what is it that you feel like you're still learning? What is it that you feel like you're still yet to discover about yourself?
Amazing question, and my answer is everything. Everything. I think you can always find out more about yourself, and as much as I've learned from doing these events, there's still more to learn in that capacity. Um, I've learned a bit, and I've learned that I can do these things, and I can get through, and I'm much more resilient than I thought. And but there's it's so massively complex who you are. You can't you could I couldn't write it down because if I was to put resilient, I could also counteract that and be like, well, I'm not actually very resilient on a day-to-day life. Um, I think there's a massive it's a massive almost spectrum of different things, and it's just about trying to learn as much as you can, really. Yeah, I've got a lot to learn.
Yeah, and also I can see how having achieved so many things at such a young age, how those can almost become labels as to who you are. You know, what
Yeah.
you've done is now who you are. Who do you think, who is the Raff behind those achievements? Like that, if people were to see you only for those achievements, what part of you would they be blind to?
If they were to see me only for the achievements, yeah, um, they'd be blind to how lazy I really am. If I was to show you my room right now, you'd be like, oh wow.
Can
And
we get a tour?
uh, no, I've got all my race numbers on the wall. I'll try to get that out without, but yeah, I've got all the race numbers on the wall there. I think they would be blind to seeing how normal I actually am. Even though I'm not a normal guy, I'm a weird guy. But they would be blind to see that I'm just me. When I tell people, they're like, "What the hell?" Like, well, like there's how I don't even understand. This is ridiculous. And that's the same way I feel about it. Really, I think about it and I'm like, how have I done this? Because I'm just me. I'm just Ref. Um, yeah, yeah, that's about it really. I just see myself as Raff, and I'm happy with that. And I hope I have no idea how anyone else perceives me, and I have no problem with that.
Raff, thank you very much for coming on to the podcast. I've
No
absolutely
worries.
loved speaking to you. You have an incredible sense of being grounded, being in the present, and understanding who you are enough to know that you don't fully understand yourself. And I really appreciate you coming on and spreading your message onto this podcast. Thank you for coming on.
No worries. It's been wonderful.
Cheers, Raf. See you, mate.
No worries. See ya.